Hey, hey friends. Oh, is it gonna work? Hi. I've not moved, so I don't know what it's following. Okay, looks like it is following me. Perfect. As you can tell, a new bit of equipment. I'm hoping it's just gonna follow me around the garden, all nice and lovely. But this video may be awful because I'm still learning how to use said equipment. So thank you to my husband for getting this for my birthday, so that he doesn't have to come out and follow me around the garden. So yes, what are we doing today? Today we are seed saving from a few different flowers that I can see around that I wanted to save for next year. So I probably put you in slightly the wrong place. The first thing I'd like to save seed from is this black-eyed Susan. You can see it's just got a lovely little flower down here. I might have to come and put my face next to it so that it follows me. Yeah, there you go. Black-eyed Susan, little black eye. And they're just really lovely for trellising up things. So I need to figure out if it's got any seeds that I can save. So I've never actually saved seeds from a black-eyed Susan. Most plants will have a system where they put out a flower and then the pod on the back of the flower is what will hold seeds. But every plant is different, so where it holds its seeds, I do not know. I have a feeling that might be... There we go. Okay, so this is a bit of dried out black-eyed Susan. And so I've taken off a flower bud here, and there's no seed in that from what I can see. I'll just break it apart. But the bit underneath, the little sleeve, so you can see on here on this flower, there's kind of a sleeve, and then the flower comes out of that sleeve. So inside this sleeve, here we go, we've got a little black-eyed Susan seed. And what I can do with that is I can plant that next year. So I think I could probably grab a couple of those just to improve my odds of getting a germinating flower. It's interesting, it's got quite a few layers to get to the seed. Maybe that's to like protect it from being eaten. Who knew? I've never saved seeds from black-eyed Susan. I just wanted to because seeds are expensive. I just want to save money year on year. This year I've actually only spent £10. I'm going to say £10 of my own money for seeds for the next year because I found them in a sale at Asda and they were 6p a packet. 6p a packet! Which I think is amazing. I've just dropped one. So we're possibly going to get a black-eyed Susan pop up here. That would be interesting. I think I probably should have just picked the seed pods and then just sorted them out inside. I'll leave this growing and I can always come out again later in the season to get some more when they all dry out and die back. Okay, so that's flower seed 1. Coming down here for flower seeds 2 is we've got this really lovely strong marigold, and every time that the seeds, the flowers die, all of that turns into seeds. So I'll show you here. Okay. All of these on the bottom are marigold seeds, and what you can do is I'm going to leave them in there to carry on drying inside, and then I'll take off the top bit. But look, if you think about how much you would spend buying seeds every year, like when I was setting up this garden I did spend a lot because seeds are expensive, but I also knew that I was looking for the varieties that I wanted to grow, and now that I feel like I've got a bit more of a hang of what varieties I like to grow and what varieties we'll eat as a family and what grows well in my garden, I can just seed save. And there's another benefit to seed saving, which is that plants adapt to their local environment. So there's mini adaptations in all of the seeds that you've grown for your garden where they have better disease tolerance, better adaptation to what nutrients are around them, and you get stronger plants. So that's why I'm actually only picking off from this marigold, because this marigold is really strong, as you can tell by all the blooms on it. But literally next to it, there's another marigold down here that is, in fact, I'm going to pull it out so that I can show you. But it's not strong at all. It's a very weak plant, and you can tell, you know, it just didn't bloom in quite the same way as that one. So I'm not picking these ones, even though I could take these. I'm not going to, because I can tell that this plant just isn't really adapted to that particular bed, which is fine. So you do want to take them from kind of fully dead seed heads. I'm going to try and capture this, but I think my phone's dying. The next thing I'm going to get is these basil seeds. So again, I'm getting the fully dry stalks. Hey friends, welcome back. It's a different day, as you can tell by the change in outfit. Yeah, I'm not sure what was happening with the camera, but not good things. So I took it aside, and I've decided to just come in. It's a couple of days later, and I'm going to show you my seed haul. So this is seeds that I've either gathered myself, or they're seeds that I managed to get in a seed sale for 6p, 18p each, which I think is amazing. I'm going to also be showing you some seeds that were a gift from my aunt for my birthday, so thank you, Sheza. So I'll go through all of that because I think that's helpful to see how other gardeners store seeds, keep seeds, plan their gardens between each year. I think gardening is very much a learning journey. No year is ever perfect, ever, ever, ever. There's always something that's going to go wrong, and this year was my flower beds. So I'm gonna focus a bit more energy on making my flower beds a bit better next year. The other thing I would like to do is I might get a soil test for the flower beds specifically, just the flower beds, because I think the raised beds are really good quality soil. I know what I've put in there. I've made most of the soil myself over the years. Topped it up with things like coconut coir, which is really light to transport. You put it in water yourself, it soaks up, and then it gives the rest of the soil that you add it to a lovely texture and better moisture retention. So that's probably the only thing that I add. I think some gardeners swear by peat moss, but that's not very environmentally friendly. So I prefer to use coconut coir, which is environmentally friendly. So back to the topic of this video, seed saving, how I am saving a ton of money this year. I'm going to put some figures up at the end of just how much I would have spent on those seeds based on where I normally buy my seeds from, approximately how many seeds I got from each of the plants that I harvested from. So first thing is to show you what I'm putting my seeds in. So I've got these envelopes and they've got a little window on, and the thing I like about this is they're paper envelopes, but they're also resealable. So I had a lot of issues last year with seeds dispersing in my seed case and just going everywhere, and it was so annoying because I wouldn't be able to tell which seeds were which. I ended up having to chuck some of them even though they were perfectly good seeds because I didn't know what was going to come out of the ground. So I've got these, they're resealable. So these seeds are just some peas. These are an Oregon pea pod that I found too late. It had dried, so I thought, well, I'll just grab the seeds and I'll plant them next year. The other thing I got, so this is calendula, and these are what calendula seeds look like. I'll put a picture of what the seed head looks like because it's nuts. It looks like this little claw like that, and these seeds look like a fossil, which I think is quite cute. Now that's about as many as I got from my own garden because my calendulas didn't do very well, but my neighbour gosh, this sounds horrible, it's not quite as bad as prop lifting. My neighbour has a wonderful display of calendula, and I pass it every time I have to go to that part of town with my son, every time I pass that house, which is most days on my walk, and they've got a really, really lovely display. So I popped by and took a couple of seed heads, but don't say. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the debris out. So this is kind of, you can kind of see there, it's a bit clawed. That's the seed head there. And it's not got the seed in it, that's the outside of the seed. They've all fallen out in my bowl. So I'm just going to take out all of the kind of debris, so that all I'm left with is the lovely little seeds. and then I'll put them into my little bag, and then next year hopefully I'll have some lovely strong calendula like they do down the road. It's a bit naughty, but it's not like, I mean, if you see how many seed heads there were, there's plenty to go around. And this is what I say is, if you've in your area you see flowers that you like and you vaguely know how they go to seed, you can get those seeds for free. Around this way there are hundreds of hollyhocks, and they're one of the other seeds that I'm going to be saving. They're so prolific, they're on the side of the road, like on the verges, and they're beautiful, really lovely colours. They planted themselves because they're just so prolific. Okay, so this is what I meant. They're very prolific. This is not in someone's garden. This is on the verge. They're a really lovely colour. I think they'll go really well with my peaches and cream set that I got. And here you can see they're dried out and the seeds are just spilling out basically. So they're ready to collect. I'll just take a couple of the dried seed heads. I don't want ones that have started popping because they'll go everywhere in my pocket. But as long as they're dry, I'm happy with that. And they're just prolific. Like, this is the footpath here. This is not in someone's garden. But I've just got myself 100 seeds in a beautiful colour. I hope I'm getting the right stalk. Might get some of these ones as well. I don't know what colour these ones are going to come out, but I'm sure they'll be lovely anyway, because hollyhocks generally are, like even the white one down there. Really lovely. So here you can see this one's burst open, all these little hollyhock seeds. And you know, this is just something I like to do on my daily walk. So I just see what seeds are free. That's how I'm going to save money this season. What I will say is, I've got a little phrase based on the fact that my tomatoes last year, I didn't pick up all of the debris, and a lot of those tomatoes were kind of squished into the ground, left outside. I'm a bit of a lazy gardener, I'm not going to lie. And they all like cropped up in the cracks in my pathways, and I was like, tomatoes in the cracks? Tomatoes as weed? So this is my new saying: any plant's a weed if you let it go to seed. By which I mean, if a plant can get its seeds out there, it's going to. And if you don't want that plant in your garden, you need to get it before it goes to seed. And then you can sort of break the life cycle. Might take a few years, but you can do it. So now you can see I've got maybe a teaspoon of calendula seeds in there. I've taken all the debris out. I'm just going to save them. Now, I've dated which year I've taken them from, because seeds do have a shelf life, especially if you don't refrigerate them. If you want, you can refrigerate them or put them in the freezer in an airtight container, and they will last many more years, and you can create a bit of an apocalypse store of seeds that you've collected if you put them in an airtight container in your freezer, and they'll last many, many years. Now, at the beginning of this video, you will have noticed that I picked some French marigold. So these have had a couple of days to dry, taken the petals off, popped the seeds in there. So I got loads and loads. Look at all those seeds. And if you think about like how much you would spend every year on fresh seeds when they're right there in your garden, I think flowers are probably the easiest thing to get seeds from, because it is the flowers. I'm going to edit in a little bit of footage of me collecting my snapdragon seeds. Okay, so joining me after a seed saving session, I went up to the top of my garden where all my snapdragons were, and I harvested these. So that's the stalk, and they come off like this. And something I find interesting is that the reason they're called snapdragons is because when you squeeze them, they look like a dragon roaring, but then when they dry out, they kind of look like a dragon skull as well.
Anyway, a bit weird. So these, I'm not going to keep all of these, but snapdragon seeds are actually tiny. So I'm just going to break this little pod, and out of it is going to come lots and lots of teeny tiny snapdragon seeds.
But these are all the snapdragon seeds I got. Snapdragon seeds are so tiny. So tiny. I never knew. I was just like, ah! I mean, I knew I grew them, but yeah, literally, you can take a pinch and it looks like, almost like ground pepper. Like they are tiny. So if you think about what's in there, that's probably about a tablespoon of seeds, which represents thousands of seeds. I'm not going to need to collect any next year. So that's really, really lovely. I should probably put what variety I grew so that I have an idea of what variety this one is. Let me just have a quick look in my folder, because then I can tell you which one I actually grew. All right, so these ones are a rust-resistant variety. So that's cool. They don't have any other name. They just say that they're rust-resistant. So I can add that information to the back of the seed packet so that I know, yep, this is a rust-resistant variety. Especially because next year I'm actually going to be growing a few different varieties, but we'll go through those in a minute when I go through my birthday seed haul. The other seeds that I collected are basil seeds, and I just sort of pull them off, let them dry, pull them off, and then I ground them up with a mortar and pestle and put them through a sieve just to separate out the chaff. There is still quite a bit of chaff in there because the actual seeds are just the black bits, and then there's a bit of chaff, but I couldn't be bothered to blow it off because basically I was worried I was going to take the seeds with it because the seeds aren't very big either. Like, again, they're barely bigger than the other ones. So that's basil. Got some green beans. These are contender. Again, they did quite well in my garden, so I'm going to see if I can get them to propagate again for next year. The other thing that I've done, so do you remember I said that phrase, any plant is a weed if you let it go to seed? I let this plant go to seed so many times in my garden, and now it's prolific. I will show you. This is a picture of what it looks like. So this is a variety that I got. It's called Love in a Mist, or sometimes known as Roman coriander. And it's just lovely. So it's got these little papery balls for the seed heads. And again, I'm just going to sort of separate out that from the chaff and put it in a paper bag. If you have small seeds, this is, I found, the best way to get rid of the chaff. So I'm just going to chuck it. I've got a bowl underneath, glass bowl, into my colander. Some of the chaff's still going to get through, a little bit. But mostly, the seeds are going to go through first. I'm not going to push this through because I don't want any of the papery bits to go through. Yep, that's all of them. So, if I show you here what I've got now, is I've got a little teaspoon, approximately, of the Love in a Mist seeds. I'll just take a little envelope, fresh envelope. So, envelope, funnel, into the envelope, chuck it in. And yep, there's a little bit of chaff in there, but mostly it's seeds. And now I've got them for any year that I want. What's that? Love in a Mist 2025. So this is quite nice actually, because it also means that I can take varieties that I know and love to Sweden if we set up our garden there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to package this with this so that I know they're the same variety. The other thing you can do is, if your husband, like mine, has been really lovely and bought you a bouquet of flowers, you can save seeds from those flowers. This looks like way too many. Pink asters that came in a bunch of roses. Now, I don't know how you do this with roses. I don't think you can. But it's working for this. What you can do, it obviously depends on the flower variety, because not all of them will go to seed
if they've been sort of used for cut flowers, but some of them will. And so these ones have, just trying to get the seed off there for you. There is one on the end of every one, but here. I pulled off the petals. On the bottom of the petals is a little seed with a fluffy bit. That fluffy bit is to help it fly in the air and spread via the wind. I'm going to pull it off. That's mine now, and that seed is going in there. I don't know if this will work. We shall see. This one's a bit more of an experiment. Yeah, this is nice. I'll be able to grow these in my garden next year. The other thing you can do, which I do want to try next year, if I get another bouquet of flowers, hint hint Tim, is to propagate a rose. A friend of mine showed me her propagated rose this year and I was like, oh, that looks nice. And again, it's a nice way to kind of cherish memories. Excess in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to chuck this in the garden and see what grows. So not only have I got my little tablespoon of definite seeds, as it were, but I might get some more in the garden that self-seed, as it were. I did the same with the marigold because I was like, I do wonder though if starting seeds indoors doesn't make them weaker, because my poppies did nothing this year. My calendula looked strong indoors. I took it outside and I hardened it off properly, like didn't just sort of chuck it out there and hope for the best, but it just didn't do anything this year. I say I got maybe one seed head off it. So there's my little saved aster, and I'm actually going to put bouquet aster so that I know that it's from a bouquet, and we shall see if that grows. So that's exciting. The next one I'm going to save is, I think they're called African daisies. You have to check me. I love these ones. So this is what the flower looks like. It's really lovely. It's got these kind of variegated leaves where it's like golden on the outside and pink on the inside, and these are done amazingly well in my front garden. They're still blooming now and it's nearly October, so very, very happy. So I was trying to figure out where the seeds were on this. So I think after it dries out and closes, it creates a little seed head, and I think, oh yeah, here we go, the seeds are just in there. So let me try and get a few out and then I can show you close up. So here, let me show you. These are the seeds from the African daisy, and I'll just pop them in a pot with some potting mix. Where's my small envelopes? I think loads of those. Like I say, they're still blooming, so there'll be plenty out there. But I'm also going away, so I wanted to just make sure that I had enough saved now while I had the opportunity. You know, it's a nursery day, so I don't have my eldest with me. My youngest is having a nap, so I had time to pop out and do this. But I understand it's not always easy when you've got a new baby to find the time to do the things that you love to do. I really hope that is the seed head. That is typically how these kind of flowers tend to seed, is they'll put the seeds on the end of all of their petals. So that should be the seeds. We'll find out next year when I go to plant them. So I've shown you the ones that I've saved from my garden. These are the ones that I managed to get on sale. I got a 4-pack of different flowers, and I've just cut them up with their individual seed packets. That one cost me a bit more. I think that was like 36p, but effectively it's 6p a packet of seeds. So I got 4 plants from that. And then basically all of these unwins ones. This was 6p. Do you know how expensive zinnias are? Let alone one as beautiful as this raspberry lemonade zinnia. So I'm very much looking forward to planting those and seeing what they come out as. The other ones that I got, so I've still got a lot from last year. Then Cosmos, really lovely gazebo mixed. Looking forward to planting those. Like I say, not all of the plants that I have access to were from this year, were from this sale. I got some double floret poppies, and they're called ballerina, I want to say. Yeah, prima ballerina. So they're kind of a double. So if I show you these are single poppies. So they've got a single line of petals, whereas the double have a double line of petals. They're a bit more like ruffly, which can look really lovely. I also got some corn poppies, 6p. And these will actually be used to make lemon and poppy seed cake. So that'll be nice. Got some sunflowers as part of that 4-pack, some jammy dodger ones. That's what they look like. And then I got my son a giant yellow sunflower pack. So these are also the unwind ones, little growers. So that's cute. And then also, because my friends know me well, I got some lovely celosia, orange celosia, also known as coxcomb. And I'm going to put a little picture of the card that they got me for my birthday, because that'll just give you a little insight into my sense of humour. But yes, that's what I got from there. And then I also got some pumpkins, some carrots. My baby really is crying now, so I think I'm going to have to go. I'll come back to this. Hello again. It's now the evening and both of my boys are in bed, so we can get back to this video. I think I started the section on the seeds that I got for 6p a packet. 6p a packet. I'm going to put at the end how much it would have cost. So I got some scarlet runner beans. I'm very excited about these because they get quite tall and they've got these lovely little red flowers, so that will give a nice bit of interest on my arches next year. I'm not doing melons next year. I'm not gonna bother. My climate's not set up for it. They look pathetic. There's some out there, but they're definitely dead. I need to put them out of their misery. So I'm just going to do lots and lots of beans on my trellis archways. So that'll be nice. Also got some pumpkin. So this year I'm going to experiment because I'd heard that pumpkin does quite well when it's just in the ground. Especially, so I have quite clay heavy soil, which I've tried amending. I've added wood chips to stop it going like to a muddy mess. And that seems to have worked actually. The wood chips have got a nice mycelium going through them. I know because when I pull out weeds, it kind of comes with the fungi network. So I think my soil has improved a bit since I first started gardening. The soil is a big part of the reason that I put in raised beds, because I was like, I'm not going to get anything out of this soil. But we're going to experiment this year because I think I have improved my soil enough that I could potentially grow somewhere. So I'm going to grow this in front of the shed area where I've got a bit of extra space because that will want to spread out. And then just the usual, got some Autumn King, that's a new variety for me, and Nantes, I grew this one last year, love it, very straight, very chunky carrot, so that'll be nice. Again, 6p a packet, so far doing pretty well. And then I got a variety of peppers, so I quite like making my own hot sauce. This year I didn't get very many peppers. I think I got about 10. So I'm going to have to bulk it out with some other peppers. But I got a demon red chilli. I thought that was cute because it's got purple leaves. So that will add some nice interest to the garden. I've got a little basket of fire. There's a theme here, isn't there? Like tiny chilies, very, very hot. And then I got some sweet snack peppers. These are called Sweetonia. And then I also got a Salad Festival snack pepper. And then I would like to eventually get a decent red bell pepper size pepper, because I do like bell peppers. They are a key component of a lot of the recipes that I do. But I haven't been able to grow any of a decent size. Like I tried the colour spectrum variety, and I don't know if they're supposed to be a snack pepper, but they did not get very big. They were about this big. So I don't know if that was supposed to happen or not, or if I just didn't feed my soil enough. probably the second. So that's something else that I'm going to try and do more of next year, is just keep on top of fertilising my soil. So, lesson learned. I also got some popcorn. Again, we'll see if the squirrels nick it again. Hopefully not. And then my cucumbers, I don't know what happened. I think they might have got bitter in the sun. So I'm actually going to start my cucumbers a lot earlier. I'm going to try and get them to grow while it's still relatively cool, because I think they prefer cooler weather, and if they're out in the sun they do get bitter. So I think, yeah, the ones that I grew last year, they got bitter. I cut them up, it tasted like goblin, it was horrible. So that's one thing. The other thing is I want more of like an English cucumber, like a slicing cucumber. And apparently Burt Plus Tasty Green is the one to grow. Now it does say F1. That means that it's a hybrid variety, which means that if I tried to save seeds from this, it would not come out the same. There's 2 parent plants. They have genetics from both parent plants. When they produce seeds, you don't know which parent plant it's going to take after. These are developed in greenhouse under very specific conditions, with pollen from one plant and onto the flowers of the other plant to get this particular variety. You would have to recreate those exact conditions to get the exact same cucumber. So it's just not going to happen. But, you know, with the amount of seeds that I've managed to get for free through seed saving, it doesn't bother me having 1 or 2 varieties if I like them. That's the important thing. So with any of the varieties that don't have F1 on it, I can seed save from those, and I know exactly what I'm going to get. It's going to be very similar to the plant that I've taken it from, because that's the only parent plant. Whereas this, if I like it, I guess I'm going to have to keep buying it. So, but, you know, that's 1 packet of seeds compared to like 30. The other one that I got was a new tomato variety called Cherry Sweet Million. I have a lot of different cherry tomatoes, but what I'm really missing is one that's really, really sweet, like a red one. I think I just want to grow red ones because I think that's what my son recognises as like a yummy tomato. He doesn't really like the yellow ones and the orange ones that I grow. So I think this is going to be his next year. I'm going to grow it for him. And it's supposed to be quite prolific, up to 50 tomatoes per truss. So I think that'll be plenty for us. So I'll grow those in my planter again. I don't know why I got this one, but it was 6p. I haven't given up on brassicas just yet. They're doing really badly. I will say that, they're doing really badly. But I still haven't given up on them. They're still in the bed. And I know I need to just pull them out and start again, and maybe even like plant them before I go away and cover them in netting so that nothing can get to them, and just see what I get when I get back from Sweden. Maybe. I think I need to plant these. I'm going to plant them straight in the ground. It's going to be a big experiment because normally I'd do starts and then put them in the ground, but I think because it's pure experiment and I don't care if it works or not, that's the important thing, not caring if it works or not. I'm going to chuck them in the ground over winter. I'm going to put a net over them, like I should have done earlier in the season. And I'm going to see what comes from it. So I got some of those. And then I got another beetroot variety. Now I've grown this one before, but the seeds have gone. They went. I got given a packet of seeds. That packet of seeds were already very old when I was given them. And I did get a couple of beetroot from them, but the germination rate was so spotty. It was literally like 1 or 2 when I'd planted a whole patch. So, but I did like it. It's quite a fun variety to grow because of the little swirls. And it was 6p. So I don't know if that's like my excuse for like buying seeds. Like, it's only 6p. I've also started an experiment. Now I said I wasn't going to grow melons, but I did save some melon seeds from a really delicious melon that we had. I can't remember the exact variety. It was delicious and I was like, I need to try and grow this melon. Anyway, so I saved the seeds. I just took the seeds out, gave them a little wash, not with soap or anything, just a little rinse to get any flesh off. And then I laid them on a paper towel to fully dry them and just sort of gave them a little shake every couple of days just to make sure that they dried evenly. So now I've got some melon seeds. And then I also did the same because I got some butternut squash from the store. Now, I don't know if this is going to be an F1 variety issue. We'll see. I got a massive butternut squash from the store and I thought, oh, if I could grow a butternut squash with a neck that long, I would only need to grow 2 or 3 to be happy with what I'd grown. So I saved the seeds from that butternut squash and I hope it's going to work. Again, I think I'm going to do a similar thing as I'm going to do with the pumpkin, which is I'm just going to put it in the actual ground, not in my raised beds, because I think some things need more clay soil, and I have a feeling that squash is one of them. So that will be a big experiment next year. I have heard also that brassicas are also apparently better off in clay soil, because the soil just allows the roots to kind of dig in, get more nutrients and hold on to more moisture. Raised beds have a tendency to dry out a little bit. So that's a couple more seeds that I'd saved. The other thing that I did save, and I put it in a linen bag so it's breathable, and that's really important. This is actually a bag that I have for bread making. And I've saved my garlic. I'm going to be planting this next week. So I'll take a video of that and I'll pop it up. Most likely that'll be when we're in Sweden. That'll be one of the Sweden videos. I worked out exactly, because I wanted to do a full bed. I'm going to do a full bed of garlic, because I did half a bed last year and I got enough to save and enough for maybe about 4 or 5 months. We're still eating the garlic. Like, there was lots, but it wasn't a year's worth. And especially not if I'm going to be saving seeds or saving cloves from it to grow again next year. But the reason that I wanted to save the cloves is they did really well. They were very resistant to any potential diseases. They are a hard neck variety, meaning that they'll put up a garlic scape. So I get a harvest of garlic scapes, which I'm planning to ferment next year, and a harvest of garlic bulbs that I can cure and I can store long term. So garlic scapes are really garlicky. Maybe I'll dehydrate it actually. My thinking was that I would ferment it so that I could have like a pickle to go with my ramen. That would be good, right? But I think actually I might dehydrate it. I figured out that I can actually use my oven to dehydrate stuff, and I made some tomato sauce. And I took the skins and the seeds that I'd sort of sieved out, and I put them in a thin layer in the oven. And my oven, it does go low enough that I can use it as a dehydrator because it goes to 40 degrees. So that's nice to know that I don't have to buy a whole new machine just to get that effect. So 16 squares. I've got 15 squares of 4 so that I can get large cloves, and 1 square of 9 so that I have some smaller cloves, for a total of 69 cloves. So we shall see if that works. But yeah, I'm just storing those 69 cloves in there, ready to go out next week. So that's another thing that I've saved money on. And again, it's a shame because when you buy it online, I think for the original 4 heads of garlic that I bought, it was about £8, or maybe like 12. But I thought, gosh, that's expensive for garlic when I can go to the shop and get it for £1. But the thing is, a lot of what they sell in the shops is soft neck garlic, so you don't get the scape. So whilst I could grow garlic from the shop, it wouldn't be the variety that I'd want. Whereas at least this, I know it's the variety that I want. So I did go into buying garlic last year with a view that I would be investing to get the varieties that I want. Now, Another thing that I've done is I've saved some seed potato. This seed potato is very, very green. And this was the seed potato that I had accidentally left out. I have been planning to eat these potatoes, but alas, they went very, very green in the window where I was attempting to cure them. But I thought, waste not, want not. I looked it up, and apparently very green potatoes make excellent seed potatoes because the solanine in them, which is the bit that gives you a dicky tummy if you eat it, is actually helps protect it from rotting. So, and these already have a couple of little sprouts on them. I did plant some, and I've got 3 buckets of this variety of potatoes outside, and they're growing wonderfully. They look amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to harvesting those sort of later in the winter when we fancy something fresh from the garden. So that'd be nice. So yes, that's basically everything that I got for either free or very, very, very cheap. And that's everything that I bought with my own money. So what else did I get? I mentioned that my aunt gave me some money for my birthday, and I bought some seeds with that. Let me take you through those. So yes, I got a lot of my seeds from Chiltern Seeds. I saw, is it Blossom and Bloom? She's a flower growing channel here on YouTube. I wish I could grow flowers that way. And so I'm practicing. So next year's challenges are growing in ground and growing flowers. I would like to be able to put together some bouquets and have those. I would like my garden to look nice to sit in the summer. And we are planning to do a bit of work in the garden. We're going to take out the foundation of the garage that was there because it's just an eyesore at this point. So we're going to fill that in with turf, and then hopefully we'll have a much nicer patio area to sit in. I want the whole garden to look wholesome and nice and just a pleasant place to sit rather than just a place that I work and harvest things from, which is nice in itself. But you know, I've really enjoyed the snapdragons. I think that's been a real success, surprisingly, the snapdragons. So I kind of want that, but for the rest of my flowers. So I'm not just going to show you flowers. I have got some other stuff. So the first thing I got with my Auntie Cheryl's birthday money was this. So this is a slicing variety. It's got a lot of great reviews on RHS. It's one of the better ones. So I picked that up, paid full price for that, £2.50. £2.50 for some seeds. But what I'm hoping to do is next year, I'll save the seeds. Because it's not an F1 variety, I can do that and know that I'm going to get pretty much exactly the same. So next year I will be saving some of those seeds. The other thing I wanted to do is I mentioned wanting to kind of make these archways very productive. I wanted lots of climbing beams, lots of different things. So I got the runner beans, which are very, very long, but also I want some peas because my eldest loves peas. And I think by next year he'll be 3 and a bit by the time we're harvesting these. And he'll just be of an age where doing the podding might just keep his interest. Might. We'll see. So I got some of those. That's supposed to be a very prolific variety, alderman. And it's supposed to get very tall. It gets to a height of 200 centimetres. So if I plant some on either side of my archway, hopefully we'll get a full arch. Same with this one. This is actually a purple pea, blue shocker. And again, that's going to get to about 150 centimetres high, 1.5 metres either side of the archway. It might not meet, but it will still look amazing. And these have really lovely pink flowers. These have white flowers. And then obviously the scarlet runners have the red flowers. So I'm going to get this kind of lovely effect as you walk through of like white, pink, red. That's going to be my plan. It's going to be very colour coordinated because things like that apparently matter. So then the other thing that I got a lot of zinnias because I see other people. It's jealousy. I'm not going to lie, it's jealousy. Acre Homestead grows amazing zinnias. They're beautiful. And I thought mine just stayed tiny and they only grew one set of petals and they were supposed to. In fact, I'm going to show you the ones that I grew so that you can laugh at the difference between what I grew and what I should have been growing based on the picture, because it's annoyed me having seen it. So this is the variety. It's called Sprite Mixed. Look, they're fluffy pom-poms. They're supposed to be fluffy pom-poms. They're not supposed to be single petalled. Anyway, I'm just saying, I didn't get what I wanted. Anyway, so there are lots of varieties of zinnias, and so I'm going to be putting pictures up of all the ones that I got. I got a few mixes, and then I also got a set of orange type flowers that all go together. So I'll show those ones together actually. I forgot to show these. These are French bean, Blue Lake. Again, climbing, gets to 210 centimetres, so we'll definitely get a full arch out of this. And again, I love French beans. And if this one can grow, you know, up an archway, then I'm saving space in my bed as well. So that would be really nice to grow. So I've actually got 4 varieties of beans and only 3 arches. So I'll have to figure out. Maybe I'll grow the peas together. So I'll grow French beans, peas, and then runner beans. Because I feel like peas, you can probably tell which one's which because one's going to be purple pods and the other's not. Let's talk what flowers I got and why. So I got a zinnia that is dahlia flowered because I love dahlias. My dahlias didn't do very well this year. So I thought, let's see what a zinnia looks like when it's dahlia flowered. Who knows, maybe it might be okay. This one is giant cactus flowered. Quite like that one. I think the cactus flowers, the zinnias, are probably going to be my favourite. I then got the Zahara mix. I don't know why I got those ones because they're basically the same as what I grew last year. In fact, I have a feeling that what I grew last year is not the Sprite Mixed, but it must have gotten mixed up when they were packaging them. And then the scabious flowers, and that looks great. My favourite one of those, I have to admit though, is the whirligig. Is big, beautiful. It's got, the tips are a different colour to the centre, and they're slightly different shapes. So some are a bit more cactus flowered and some are a bit more dahlia type flowered. So we'll see how they turn out. So that's all the zinnia seeds that I got. Tell a lie, it's not, because I bought a set of orangey, pinky type flowers because I really love orange and pink together. Maybe because it reminds me of a nice sunset over a mountain. I just find them absolutely beautiful. I got a set from Chiltern Seeds, Peach Melba cutting collection. There you go. If you want to buy it, it's the Peach Melba cutting collection. So this is the zinnia from that set, which is the Lilliput salmon. And I'll put a picture of that up again. You then got a straw flower. So this is the first year that I'm growing straw flowers. This one that came with the set is salmon rose. So again, I'll put a little picture just up there. But I'm also going to be growing a nice little mix. So this is what straw flowers look like. And I'm just making sure that I get some that are salmon coloured in my mix. And then I know I already have a lot of snapdragons. I just can't help myself. This actually came with 2 in it. So we've got the Potomac dark orange. Again, I'll put a little picture of that. And then I've also got the Madam Butterfly mixed. I might have bought that separately. That might not come with the Peach Melba set. And then last but not least, I've got some phlox, which is a creme brulee variety. The other seeds that I got were just some sunflowers. So my sunflowers really did not do very well. And by that, I mean, we were given, as a wedding favour, we were given loads of beautiful varieties of sunflowers. This was our friends in Sweden. They got married, and their favours was with sunflower seeds. And I was very excited, and I planted the sunflowers directly in the ground, knowing that there are pigeons, magpies, crows, and squirrels up in that big willow tree. And maybe 3, 4 came up. It wasn't very many. I think they must have eaten the rest of the seeds, which is such a shame. So this year I bought similar varieties to what I got at the wedding, and I'm actually going to start them indoors. So unlike some of the other stuff where I'm like, yep, I can start that outdoors, that'll probably do better if I just put it directly in the soil, like the pumpkin. I think these are actually going to do better if I start them indoors, and then there's not a seed for various critters to eat. So we have a claret variety, again, picture coming, and then a desert sun variety. So very much looking forward to planting all of those. I think that's pretty much all of the new seeds that I've got. Everything else I've planted before. Some things didn't come up, some things I've tried to save seed from, and we'll see if those work as well. The other thing that I'm doing, I'm just trying to get better at making my own compost. So every time I've pulled anything out of the ground, I've dumped it kind of in front of my shed, and then I've gone over the lawnmower to break into tiny pieces, and then I put that into my compost bin so that it just breaks down a lot quicker. And then I'll also be scooping up all the leaves that have fallen from the willow tree out there, and I'll be using those as mulch to try and prevent weeds coming up over the winter. Any weeds that do come up, it's fine, I can just pull them. I just need to make sure that they do not go to seed. That's been my big problem, is obviously going from 1 to 2 kids, actually being able to get out into the garden consistently and when I need to has been quite difficult, and lots of things had gone to seed on me that I didn't want to go to seed on me. For example, the thistles. I did not want the thistles to go to seed, and they did. So I know that next year I'm just going to be having to pull a bunch of thistles before they go to seed, and hopefully within a couple of years I'll be on top of it. So we'll see. If anyone has any tips for how to keep weed pressure down in a patio, that would be much appreciated. So it's been lovely sitting here chatting with you, going through my seed haul, and explaining how I'm trying to keep the cost of gardening down, because it's expensive. Anyway, lovely to hang out with you, and I'll see you again soon. Hej Hej!